Hi everyone, I'm Brianna and welcome to Roll Initiative. Today I'm going to be talking a bit about how to get your players to fight instead of just talking their way out of every situation. So if that sounds familiar, watch on and let's get right into it. The first thing we need to understand when we have this problem is why don't your players want to fight? I've looked around and the most common reasons that I can find is that if they just don't care for the mechanics of the game, they're just here to roleplay, or maybe they're not even interested in the game and just want to hang out, or if they don't want to hurt sentient creatures, and they're probably the type of players who don't want to kill goblins just for being goblins. They'd need a good reason, at least. Particularly if the creature isn't doing anything particularly wrong, it's just pursuing self interest. And if that inconveniences them, they're more likely to talk about it than to try and kill them. So let's look at some important points on all of this and some ways on how to fix it. The first thing we need to know when trying to fix this problem is, do your players want to fight? Because they might just not want to hurt sentient creatures, but they still want to fight. In which case, try some creatures that aren't sentient. Try some creatures like a gelatinous cube, a zombie, creatures that can't be talked out of what they're doing and are just pursuing their mindless goals. That way, they're not really sentient creatures, and your players don't have to feel bad about killing them. Now, the harder problem to try and fix is if your players aren't interested in the mechanics or fighting and just want to roleplay or are only here to hang out. If they're not just here to hang out and are actually interested in the game, they're just not interested in combat, then maybe you can suggest to them using their help action to give other people advantage or to help out on the battlefield in different ways without actually contributing to the combat. It's a bit harder with people who just aren't really here to play the game, they just want to hang out with everyone. And that makes it hard because if they're just not interested, then you can't make them interested. It's different if your players actually want to play and you're just trying to include them in all the different parts of it so that they can play while not having to do the parts they don't want to, but they can still be included. It's different if they just aren't interested in playing. Nothing you're going to do is going to make them want to play. So unfortunately, I don't have any advice for this other than to let them sit out if they don't want to do it. If you've got any better advice, then please leave it in the comments. I'd love to see it. Now, a bit of a more unique situation is if most of your party wants to fight, but you've got those few people or that one person who wants to talk their way out of it and is constantly rolling really high and getting out of combat when everyone else still wants to fight. Something you can do is that just a high roll doesn't mean that they get out of combat, because if a creature is hostile, then the best a good roll is going to do, even a nat 20, is to make them indifferent. And if they get something out of fighting you, such as stealing from you, or maybe they're getting paid for this, then they're not going to leave even if you roll really high. Though something to keep in mind is that if your players just don't want to fight for whatever reason, then you shouldn't try to make them. It is worth considering that they're playing the wrong game, that D&D just might not be for them, or that they're just at the wrong table. Because I truly believe that D&D is made to fit whoever wants to play it. You just need the right people to play with. So if one of your players just doesn't want to fight at all, but the rest of your party does, then it might be worth considering that it's not the right table for them, and maybe not even the right game, as there are plenty of TTRPGs out there that aren't based around fighting. I think balance, variety, and improvise are the skills of a good DM. So naturally, you shouldn't get your players to fight all the time. It should be a balance between fighting and roleplay. Because sometimes it's okay for your players to feel clever and to get out of a tricky situation by talking about it. Other times, it really is just necessary to fight something. But anyway, that's all my advice. So I really hope it was helpful, and if it was, that you might consider liking the video or maybe subscribing to my channel. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.